everyone. Thanks for coming. So I was pondering whether to teach class tonight or protest. And so teaching class is my protest. So I was thinking, a big thing is going down in New York City and around the country. And there's some really beautiful things that are happening. People are coming together. People are having cause to come together. And they have emotions about it. And people feel conflicted. So I thought, what's the best thing to do? What can one do? I heard so many people go, I just don't know what to do. Yeah, I feel this rage, but I don't know what to do. I feel injustice and I don't know what to do. So what can one do? And I thought, I caught onto the energy, like I want to do something now. And we're doing something. We're doing probably the ultimate remedy to those things. There's nothing more profound you can do than learn how to remove permanently from your minds anything that disturbs the world. Anything that disturbs your mind and disturbs the world, that harms another, in any form at all. There's nothing more profound you can do than figure out how in your consciousness you can completely obliterate hatred, completely obliterate bigotry, or completely obliterate any negative emotion whatsoever, and the causes of those and the seeds for those, and experience your world transform. This is a practice. This is what the Buddha taught. He didn't teach how to be calm in the face of horribleness. He taught Bodhisattva activity. He taught how to take action, but then he taught how to correct action, how to take correct action. Meaning change your mind. Change your mind. Because if you know, let's say it takes you a lifetime, if you know how to permanently remove the things that are truly your enemy and the world's enemy, the things that cause negativity in the world, then you can really help someone. If not, you'll end up going, I've done something, but I don't know if it'll have an effect. I think if you ask all the passionate people that have a right to protest and demonstrate and be upset in this country and around the world, forget all the other horrible things around the world. We are a race of beings that are doing this to each other for millennia. And it's beautiful to see people that want to come together to do something. But what's the right thing? Imagine being able to step into a world like this and go, I know what to do. I know what to do. So that's what we're here for. And I hope you practice. I hope the stuff that you learn isn't just an intellectual exercise. And it's easy, to get caught up in the things. We must do something, but what's the right thing to do? So for me tonight, the right thing to do is to share with you the most profound knowledge I know that can permanently remove bigotry, hatred, and any negativity from existence. And we'll talk about that tonight in the Bodhisattva Charitanya. So that's my 2 cents on that. Before we start, we usually make a mandala offering. So I'd like you to imagine the universe as you know it, completely perfected, meaning removed from it all afflictions, beings completely at peace, and make that an offering to the part of your mind that sees perfection.
Sashi
Puki Jushin Metotram Rira Lingshin Yinde Dempadi Samde Shindu Mite Bewargi Drokun Nanda Shimla Jupasho Hidam Guru Ratnamandala Kamninatayami Chidam Soki Choknam La
Janchu Bardu Dagni Gyatsuchi Daki Jinyengi Pesanamki Rola Benchir Sangye Drupashok Chiran Soki Choknam Lan Janchu Bardu Dagni Gyapsuchi Daki Jinyengi Pesonamki Drola Benchir Sangye Drupashok Churan Soki Chognana Jamchu Bardu Dagni Gyapsuchi Dagi Jinyengi Pesanamki Drola Penchir Sangye Drupashok.
So let's do a quick meditation. So take a comfortably seated position. That means however you can stabilize your bottom part in a triangular fashion, knees down, half lotus, full lotus, no lotus. So long as you're not focused or wobbling too much on your base, your spine should be straight. Your arms either on your thighs or triangulated around your navel. Your right hand on top of your left if you're using that posture. Shoulders slightly back so your chest feels open, and if you can just tuck in your tummy a tiny bit, enough to create a sense of awareness around that part of your body, it pushes the energy up. Shoulders back nicely, but not uncomfortably, not artificially. You're going to leave and park your body there. After we do a quick scan of any tension, release any tension in your muscles and your thighs, around your chest and shoulders and neck. And particularly around your face, check your frown, relax in between your eyebrows. Your eyelids and the corners of your lips could be slightly up as if about to smile. It releases any tension in those muscles. And then begin to bring your awareness to the room and your place in the room, the sensation of your body, the awareness of your mind, the thing that captures everything. And focus it all down onto your breath. Just feel the sensation of breathing. Don't control it, just observe it. Exiting and entering your body through your nostrils. Your job is just to follow, nothing else. So long as you remain on the breath, you're on the object of meditation. So you could focus on the sensation at the tip of your nostril, on the temperature, on the movement of your lungs. So long as you're on the breath, you're on the object. If your mind thinks of other things or gets distracted, just gently bring it back to the breath each time you're going deeper and deeper, to maybe 20 counts of breath this way. 21. Now I'd like you to imagine the most perfected mind you can imagine. Imagine a being with a mind so pure that they have no pain, no suffering. They are completely in accord with every aspect of this multiverse, aware of every creature, and capable of feeling nothing but love and understanding. And invite them to appear in front of you in whatever form that suits you. If you can't imagine that, just the closest to that you can imagine. A perfected form of being. Someone most pure. Stainless. Loving. Out of all the qualities you imagine in them, pick one, the one you most revere, the one you imagine to be the most useful for you. Then ask them if they can teach you to see past whatever obstacles you don't even know you have, your blind spot. Ask them to please make you aware, since they can see all things, what your next step is in your path to freedom. Ask them also to show you the highest, most profound characteristic you already have, your most developed goodness. Ask them to teach you both those things and more, and to stay by your side at all times. And now I'd like you to imagine them getting a little bit closer to you, facing you, seated in meditation posture like you are. And from their very core of their being, complete wisdom, knowing exactly what to give up and what to take up for you, gets transferred to you. Imagine the space between their eyebrows. Some light comes from that place into the same place in your forehead. The same at the throat, a beam of light. The same at the heart, a beam of light. Each one transferring to you exactly what to think, say and do. Perfect body, speech and mind, seeds enter your body. sit in that connection for a little while. With each breath, getting to a deeper and deeper awareness of what these things mean to you, what your next steps are to spiritual evolution, to happiness and freedom. And see if you can generate in your heart a wish to use this wisdom to help other people on the planet find peace. Imagine like a diamond at your heart, refracting this light to every being on the planet that needs something, every troubled mind, every suffering gets healed by the wisdom of this light from your heart to them. Spend a few minutes just imagining precisely how the light from the enlightened being touches your heart and reflects out to specific people. See a child crying and the light from your heart touches them and they feel at peace and they stop crying. The hungry get food. The lonely get company. The troubled get peace of mind. And so on. Then gently bring the light back to your heart and invite the teacher to stay always with you, and as you do, you watch them rise up and turn to face the same direction you're facing, getting smaller and smaller, brighter and more intense, until they sit at the crown of your head, always available to you, just about to touch the crown of your head. Smallest of them now. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So I said my 2 cents about the things that are going down in New York. Does anyone want to share their thoughts, if they're particularly passionate, or you're happy to take a class? You went to the protest. You want to talk about it a little? Or not?
Sure. It's just, it's overwhelming to experience directly, or to experience at once the suffering and the love people feel all at one time. It's really special, and it was like uplifting and very sad and hard at the same time. It was like crying for joy and crying for deep sadness all at one time. And that's just a feeling I have overall from I think all my friends across the country. Seems to be a lot of people have that feeling, which I don't know that we've ever had. Maybe we've had it before here in America. It feels pretty unanimous, like it feels pretty widespread of people feeling like this is not cool. Yeah.
But also it's cool to see how people are coming together.
It's cool to see how people are coming together.
Yeah. And loving each other. That's great. Thanks. Anyone else? Just one area if you have it in your mind, because I really want you to focus on that too. How to remove the things that actually cause suffering, deep suffering. Yeah, I'm interested, and I think it's a beautiful thing to discuss and have in our minds, especially today. Cool. So if you're new, welcome. Yeah, haven't seen you before. Yeah, no, cool. Welcome. I'm Hector. This is the one class. I've seen you once. Yeah. This is a class 8 of 10 classes. So you're right at the end of the beginning of a book. There's 3 courses taught on this book. This is course 1, 10 classes per course, called the Bodhisattva Charavatar, or the Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. Now, Bodhisattva is a, let's hear it if anyone's been listening. What's a Bodhisattva? Definition of a Bodhisattva.
A being who wishes to remove mental frictions from themselves and every other sentient being.
That's cool. Yeah. It's what do they have? What's a Bodhisattva have? A bodhicitta. And what's the definition of bodhicitta?
The wish to alleviate suffering for all sentient beings.
Great. Cool. So you have in you a wish to reach freedom from samsara, freedom from the cycles of mini cycles of pain and big cycles of pain. Yeah. In the West, we tend to only think about the one life mini cycles of I don't have a nice car, or I didn't get my red shoes. To bigger life cycles like death and so on. In the East, we think of cycles of pain as lifetime after lifetime after lifetime of the same stuff. It's bad enough having it in one life, having to figure out how to get a job and get a boyfriend and get an apartment and get clothed and get fed and have relationships with family and get sickness and overcome those things in one life. It's bad enough to do that. But to recognize that life continues, that consciousness continues beyond this mortal body coil, then that cycle is called samsara. And so to be able to smash through this thing called samsara is the wish for enlightenment, the wish to be, yep. It starts.
No, this is my question. It's more of like a current event. I mean, we could also relate it to the cyclic nature of these types of like civil rights, civil disobedience, social issues and things of that nature that seem to reoccur.
Cycle and cycle and cycle and cycle. Yeah. And the fact that they don't stop permanently is that we didn't get to the root of the problem, yeah, which is the point of these discussions. So this is the first course out of 3 courses that deal with this magnificent book. It was written around 700 AD and is a complete guide to get from schmuckness, caught in that cycle, to an enlightened being, someone free from any kind of conception or reality that is stuck in these cycles. So nirvana or Buddhahood, depending on, well, actually Buddhahood for this book. Yeah. So we began the course by talking about why is this wish even possible? Can it really help you? Yeah. And then there's some things you need to do to purify yourself in order to have an experience that can generate that wish spontaneously, the wish to be free from that and do the right things to actually be free from those cycles. not just for yourself, but for the sake of everyone else around you that you see stuck in those cycles. Yeah. So if you, like we began the discussion, if you could really figure out, if you could truly figure out for yourself how you remove a particular suffering permanently, then you are the doctor for that particular suffering for everyone else, truly. Until then, we're just creating more causes for, like, we're all guessing. Most of the time, we're all guessing. So, last week, we started talking about Master Shantideva, who's the author of this book, started talking about the real enemy. Who's the real enemy in this suffering life you have? And he called them nyomongs, or kleshas in Sanskrit, which mean mental afflictions, translated as mental afflictions. And the definition of a mental affliction, of a klesha, is
anything that disturbs your mind.
Peace of mind, yeah. And I like that it's got the peace of mind side there, because peace is also a synonym for nirvana. Yeah. So it destroys your peace of mind, destroys your capacity to achieve nirvana, which is pretty awesome when you think about that. So he identified, and we spent some time, he did a couple of things, right? He did about 4 things in the text last week that David read at the end, the summary of that. And you hopefully were able to catch on to the meaning of that, because we discussed it in detail beforehand, so when he read it you could get the whole context. But he says that the real enemy is the nyomongs in Tibetan, klesha in Sanskrit. It's your mental afflictions. The real enemy for any suffering is actually in your mind. It's not out there. Yeah? Because there's something in our minds that prevents us from breaking free of these cycles. And we have to figure them out. And they come in 3 flavors, 6 flavors, 10 flavors, 26 flavors, and all the way up to 84,000 flavors, because they had nothing else to do in Tibet, so they sat there and catalogued every single mental affliction that you could have. And we'll go through, in today's class, we'll go through the secondary mental afflictions, the next list of top 20 things that destroy your peace of mind, that prevent you from stepping out of that cycle. Yeah? And Master Shantideva, in the last course, he said, well, do you remember the top 6 in the last? Let's go for 1. What's the first one he...
Desire or ignorant attachment.
Great, so desire, yeah, which, or ignorantly liking, Geshe Michael prefers to translate it, because desire implies, out of a whole day, how often do you feel desire? When I read a trashy novel about love, all the time. Yeah, all the time. Yeah, it depends how you think of desire. If you think of it as ignorantly liking, this means you could see how your mind does this thousands, hundreds of times a minute. Hundreds of times a minute. I like that, I don't like that, I want that, I don't want that. Yeah, liking and disliking. And ignorantly means you think that the satisfaction you're going to feel is stuck to the object you want. I can't wait to be so happy and filled with nice warm tea, because warm tea makes me happy. So I'll have a cup of warm tea, I'm happy. So then someone forces me to have more warm tea because they know it's going to bring me happiness, so I'll have a second. And then someone else sees that and says, oh, this makes Hector happy, so let's bring a third warm tea, one after the other, after the other, after the other. Soon I'll be vomiting tea. It doesn't make me happy from its own side. There's nothing in the substance that is producing. And you could argue, oh, well, your stomach can only handle so much tea. If the happiness was in the tea, it must necessarily arrive every time a tea comes. And that is such an obvious thing. I don't know how come we don't see it. It's here. Yeah, this is our reality, and that's a metaphor for every single thing we like ignorantly. And then the second one is disliking. So we walk around our day going subtly and obviously, right? I don't like her glasses, I like his hair, I don't like that. Like we're forever forming these movements of our minds, thinking that the quality of what we what we expect to get is attached to those things we're observing. And I don't mean objects also as solid objects. In Eastern philosophy, object also means mental objects, like thoughts, emotions, feelings, flavors. These are objects as well, objects of the senses, right? So you also think that is in Tibetan. So this third one? Pride. And I'm going to call it ignorant pride because it was a distinction about having pride about doing good virtue, doing positive things to remove yourself from the cycle, and stupid pride, which is just being feeling superior about some things that are going to go away anyway. Yeah. Next one. I'm going to go through this quickly because I really want to get through the 20 and then discuss. Ignorance itself, right? Yeah. So it's just plain old not understanding karma. The next one, lazy doubt. I'm going to call it lazy doubt, right? Because this one is particularly nasty when you learn one or two things in this philosophy or in any philosophy. Your worldview gets challenged. If you're young enough that you are challenging your worldview, lucky for me, I was still there when I got all this information. You're happy to shift your world a little bit. But when it gets too personal, when I really have to apply these things logically to something that I'm really attached to, like some nice phobia about feeling not good enough, or some other habit that I have, then I don't investigate it deeply, or I don't come to a conclusion based on these ideas, or I just don't apply it. So that's what lazy doubt here means. Yeah, it just means at some point you're actually using your momentum. Let's say you have a crusty, ignorant momentum that you're trying to break, and this information breaks some, yeah? And a whole bunch of meditations will teach you where your problems are coming from. And most of them, or some of them, you'll start working with, and then it comes to a point where you're like, you know, I'll keep this one. And you keep it for a round, or 2 rounds, or 3 rounds, and then you're sort of this is your squeaky wheel in your vehicle to freedom, yeah? Lazy doubt will keep you doing, how do I describe it? Lazy doubt means you just don't act on what you know you should act about yourself, or you choose not to come to a firm decision because you're frightened that you might have to do something. If you remove lazy doubt from the information you've been dumped on this class, the profound information that has been given in these courses, we'd be living very different lives. Yeah. So they're the top 6 because we have them. I'm not telling you this for you to feel terrible about yourselves or anything like that, but just get real about what to do with them. The 5th one? No, the 6th one? Wrong view. And that had 5 flavors, right? So that's where you could get a list of 6, or you can get a list of 10. So the first of the wrong views, the most disgusting, was called the perishable view, right? Or the view of destruction. Yep. What's the Tibetan? Jikta? Cool. Why is it called perishable view? Actually, what is it first?
It means that your view is focused on things that are just going to be destroyed anyway.
Right, so it's the self-existent view,
yeah.
Right? So things exist out there, that goodness is in the tea, etc., etc. It's called perishable view because your view is focused on things that perish. It's also called perishable view because
it will itself perish.
The view itself, the stupidity itself, will perish, will at some point be destroyed by wisdom. Cool. So then quickly the other wrong views. Meaning the wrong view to look at the world, because if you look at the world that way, you're not going to get out of the cycle. Yeah? So we have some levels of these. The next one is an implication on Jikta, which was? Extreme view. You have 2 types, right?
Seeing things as self-existent.
Yeah. So you're seeing things as fixed, as not changing, and?
I thought we were seeing it as self-existent.
And believing they don't exist at all. Yeah. So once you get a little bit educated, yeah, So most people outside of any Buddhist education, the implication of jikta, the implication of thinking that there is some goodness that comes from tea, yeah, means that tea cannot change. The implication is extreme view, right? The implication that there is some goodness in this tea, or if I punch a cop because of what happened, yeah, everything will be solved, as an example, yeah, everything will be solved. So everyone punching the cop will resolve all problems at all time, right? If the goodness was in the tea, then the tea could never be anything other than as it is right now, tea. And every single being that ever came in contact with this tea must feel exactly the same way and no variation in between. And that's not true. So the implication of believing that is that you think the world is fixed. Obviously you don't think the world is fixed. Things don't change. Things are changing all the time. But if you follow your own, if we follow our own stupid point of view, which is things are self-existent, they exist out there, separate from me, therefore they cannot change. So that's most of us. The implication would be that. How I think that is. Yeah. Tarta. The other extreme is if you get a little bit of knowledge about emptiness, if you get a tiny little bit of information or some misinformation about emptiness, you could say, look, there is no tea like that. That tea that is from its own side good for you does not exist. So then you jump to the other extreme, which is, oh, then nothing exists at all. So these are the two extreme views. When you're just developing your understanding of emptiness, you will jump between those two quite a bit. And that's okay. That's what the practice is. And in fact, the fourth school of Tibetan Buddhism, Madhyamika, means middle way. And it's the middle way between these two extremes. It isn't that things exist only this way. And it's not that things don't exist at all. There's a middle way. Yeah? You're frowning.
Is that where middle way comes from? Because I originally had heard it described as middle way as between sort of asceticism and hedonism.
That's from this.
Oh.
So that's, do you see how that's implication of the other one? Yeah? Got it? The third one? Classic wrong view. You hold a firm conviction that that's it. There's no consequences to my actions. There's no karmic result in things, right? No past life and karma, etc. The fourth one?
My worldview is the best.
Which worldview? The top four of the first list. Ignorant liking, ignorantly disliking.
So you can believe that Buddhism is the best worldview and you don't qualify under this one?
No, because there's plenty of Buddhists, or people that call themselves Buddhist, who are really believing that this particular Buddhism is right, and that's ignorantly liking. So that they would have a form of that. Yeah. See, this is what my problem is about calling something Buddhism, right? Which is very Buddhist of us to say, oh, let's not be Buddhist about being Buddhist. But it's not about an ism. There was a being, his name was Lord Buddha, or they called him Lord Buddha, he had many other names too. And based upon what that experience of reality was and what he taught because of that, many other beings were able to get out of the cycle of pain. In reality, not in some imaginary wheel of life drawing. In real life, with guts and eyeballs and lovers and homes and clothes. Yeah? Beings stuck in this life of not knowing what to do when a citizen gets killed by your law enforcement, not knowing what to do, when caught in those I don't know what to do, in that time a being existed just like us with guts and so on and said, I just had an experience, after years of trying, I just had an experience and I pierced through this fabricated reality, things are truly this way. It took him, is it 50 years that he taught or something, 50 something?
How much?
He taught. Yeah,
45 years.
45 years? I thought it was 50 something. Okay, 45 years. He taught. To try and get it through our thick skulls, yeah, you're seeing it all there. It's all here, so close. The reality is so close. And if you lived in accord with that reality, your world would turn inside out. What's currently upside down will go right side up. So, yes, he was called Buddha, the one that woke up. So there's not, just because you wear a robe or you go to a temple does not qualify you for having that experience. What qualifies you for having that experience with your gut and your eyeball and your clothes and your home is your inner landscape. So I always struggle to go, well, let's not call it Buddhism, but then I'm deeply grateful that a bunch of Buddhists for thousands of years kept these secrets perfect, yeah? Which aren't so secret, they're just secret to people who can't access them. And here we are, able to access them, but can we access them? Yeah? So, I had a similar problem when I first heard the word wrong view. I'm like, oh, what are you telling me we have a wrong view, you know? It's wrong in relation to reality. So I've got no problem in saying wrong view now. It's like, oh, the Buddhists want the right view, and now we're fighting with Christians, and we're fighting. It's not that at all. I've seen some other beings from other traditions and no traditions having the most exquisite realizations that can break free some suffering for a being. Yeah, I would call them wake upists. Yeah, don't have to call them Buddhists. Sorry, I ranted. What's the last one?
Incorrect morality.
Incorrect
Morality.
dash asceticism. Remember, there was asceticism, morality, and the implication was that it was incorrect, which meant there were practices of starving your body, in particular, harming the vehicle that can get you to enlightenment. In other words, worshipping suffering as a way out of suffering. In basically saying that's also a wrong view. Thinking that you have to be in deep pain all the time to get out of suffering is a mistaken view.
What was like the name of the last one?
The name of the last one. The Tibetan is Tawa Chok Tsin, which means wrong view, mine is best. But it just means that I called it rejoicing in ignorance, like rejoicing that you're stupid. Yeah. It's not very Buddhist, is it, Hector? Okay, so that was one part where he covered. He talked about your real enemy is the mental afflictions. Then he goes, here are the top ones. And if they're in the top 6-10, we all have access to them strongly, and they are strong. Yeah? The force is strong with them, Luke. So they're the generals of this army that Master Shantideva is going to call us into battle. Because if you want to fight a real enemy, here's what their profile is. This is their profile. So whenever you see any of these ones, seek and destroy, he'll tell us later. Right? He goes, don't even be kind to them. Not worth it. They'll eat you up. So he says, the next part he says, that you're always under attack. And he gives 4 reasons why they are your enemy and why they will hurt you. I don't know if you remember this, so I'll just go through it quickly. They leave you powerless. So when they take over you, you are just powerless. You have no power to fix your world. They produce unthinkable suffering, yeah? Which means it's not just the immediate suffering that they're producing. It goes on and on and on. Like I said at the beginning of last class, they are at home with you all the time. They're like your disgusting shadow, and you every time you turn around, they're behind you. And they are there all the time. They hurt you infinitely. And this is interesting that he says that because
That's different from producing
unthinkable suffering, yeah. Meaning the intensity of the suffering can drop you to the lowest hells, for example. A moment of anger directed at a Bodhisattva, a terrible deed will create so much karma of a negative nature in you that it would create lifetimes of suffering. So that's unthinkable suffering For how long is the next point? Infinity.
So what's the next? I'm sorry.
The next one is they hurt for infinity.
Oh.
They last a long time. Why would he say infinity?
Because that's all I know.
Because of the cycles we were talking about. If you're stuck in samsara, you can never say when you will exit. It's a perpetual loop, infinitely continuous, without beginning. And the only end starts when you break through the veil of illusion. Until then, nobody, not even a Buddha, can say when you'll be out. Yeah. Bummer. And then the last point is why they will hurt you. He goes through, he says, if you befriend them, they'll grow stronger. So don't even think you can be buddy with them. Don't think you can have any of this ignorant liking, ignorantly disliking, stupid pride, lazy doubt, and any of these things. Don't think that if you nuzzled up next to them and tried to be their friend so you can beat them, that you could. He says as soon as you take that position with them, they grow stronger and stronger and stronger. So they're the reasons you should have a little aversion towards these things. It's interesting because I went to a Buddhist class thinking everything was going to be about peace and love and all this other stuff. And here is Master Shantideva saying, be completely disgusted at this thing. Don't waste a second when you see them, slash them. He's sending us to battle in a traditional sense. I had never heard that before. So there's something about the severity of these things that are the only things we have to defeat. You remember he talked about all the other enemies, all the external enemies you can defeat. They'll come back, they'll regenerate, they'll go away, someone else will come up. Yeah, it doesn't matter. The best friends turn to enemies, enemies turn to best friends. They cycle, everything changes out there. But these ones, they are non-stop. So, then he does the battle cry, says go to war. Yeah? Whenever they arise, seek and destroy. And we talked at the very end of last class of the difference between repressing them and stopping them. Do you remember that? Just a little moment we said, because you can put effort, right? I don't want to be angry. I don't want to have pride. Yeah, I don't have to have ignorantly liking to chocolate again and again and again and again and again and again and again. And you can do that for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, and then we relax a little bit. And then they're still there. They get you. Yeah? So suppressing them or pretending they're not there or doing a few little tactics to stop them temporarily is one thing. And then we go into can you stop them permanently, which is what we're going to talk about tonight. Yeah, at the end of tonight. But before we go there, I got a list of 20. So yeah, if you're doing the homeworks, I think the homework says pick 6 of the 20. Yeah, so you just have to remember 6 of these 20. These are called secondary mental afflictions. Why would you think they would be called secondary mental afflictions? There's 2 reasons in the scriptures actually.
Not as strong as the first ones.
Okay, that's not one of the reasons, but that's actually okay. Cool.
Because they can be categorized into one of those 6 steps.
Great. So they are secondary to, meaning they come from one of the others.
Yeah.
Great, excellent. What's another reason why they're secondary? They're just close to the big afflictions. So they're close to them, but they're not exactly them. So you can say they're secondary to them. And the other explanation is that they come from them. Yeah, they're actually iterations of that. So you can have anger, and then here come anger's little army. Yeah, you can have disliking, and you get disliking's little army. Does that make sense? That's what we're going to cover. We'll do 20. I'm going to say the Tibetan. I think it's good to say because I remembered a whole bunch of these later on in my life. It's good to have a new sound for an idea that doesn't quite always fit an English translation. So it's good to have So number one, pick your favorites, okay? See if you've got any of these. I vomit every time I read them because I have all of them to some degree, yeah? So here we go. Number one is trowa, T-R-O-W-A, trowa, and this is anger. It's a form of which of the six?
Ignorantly not liking.
Yeah, disliking. It's a form of disliking, right? It's a shape shifter from that. And this is like, it's described here and differentiated as the first few minutes of anger, the willingness to hurt somebody. Yeah, it's like, and obviously it's got ignorance in it because it thinks that the object is the source of the anger, right?
And that it's separate from.
Huh?
And that it's separate from yourself.
That's right, great. So the next one, kunzin, say kunzin. Kunzin, K-U-N-D-Z-I-N. Sorry, Z-I-N. Americans. And this is retaining anger. It's different to anger. This is the moments of anger. So the person that you yelled at was right next to you, right? See if this applies to you at all, right? Have you ever been angry at anyone in your face, right? So, and then that person leaves, and you hold that feeling. There's no person there. You thought that it came from them, right? They left. You're still angry. I mean, have you ever had the experience where that's kunzin. Have you ever had the experience where
I love when you're here to laugh. It's like so ignorant.
That's so ridiculous. You're some person you're mad at leaves and you're still mad. Ludicrous. You're mad at the empty, like,
yeah.
They're gone.
Yeah. Yeah, but like I said, we're so close to these things, we don't see that. Yeah, we really don't see it. It's obvious. It's really obvious. When you are talking about the way things really work and you see it that way, you're like, oh, duh. Why wasn't I informed? Has anybody ever said something to you that really hurt your feelings and you've kept it cycling in your head? And if you're old like me, maybe 7 years down the track, you meet them again and you're like, remember this thing you said to me? Because it's okay now, right, to say something. They're like, no? Really? No, I don't remember. Like they didn't pay it a second thought, right? And you had it in your mind all that time. That's this one, okay?
But isn't being upset, right, different? Or like being saddened by something someone said, like different from being.
This is just retaining anger, meaning every time you have this thought, you're like, yep, cool. Number 3, tsikpa. Tsikpa, yeah. Repeat it, it's good. Tsikpa, yeah. It literally means to gain heat or to, he translated it as irritation or to burn, right? This is pre-anger. This is the person in front of you is just about to say that thing that flops you into anger, right? You think it's coming from them. They're saying, sorry, David, you're the one I'm pointing to all day tonight.
Right.
Yeah, I can see you there feeling defeated. I'm gonna, he's like, why me? Okay, I'm gonna do it over there. So this is irritation. It's the thing that starts you getting angry, right? You can feel it rising. It's like the heat begins to build. This is the secondary mental affliction from ignorantly disliking, right? Next one is namse. Number 4, namse. And he translated it as malice. It's a state of mind where you're pretty clear you want to hurt someone, right? And you sort of pretty much decide whether it's physically or verbally. You know, when you say that, have a nice day, you know, and you're doing it with an evil intent. You wish it gets under their skin. It's that state of mind that arises. It's a decision to hurt. Yeah, it's a malice. Number 5. Any of them familiar yet? Is it all foreign to you? Truck dock. Trakdok. This is Geshe Michael's favorite, he said at the time, I remember. It's jealousy. it's that feeling. He had a nun actually had a nice translation. I'll read it. It comes from anger, yeah, and it's a disturbance of the mind because of your desire to gain honor, for gain or honor, you cannot bear the state of another person's happiness. Yeah. So it's a disturbance of the mind. Yeah. So it comes from anger. It's a disturbance of the mind that because of a wish to gain honor, to gain or honor something for yourself. Yeah. The wish for you to have something cannot stand another person being happy. This is jealousy. It's disgusting actually. When you think about it slowly, if you think happiness will come from money, and I just told you that my best friend got given $10,000 cash, is your first thought happy for them or wishing that you had it? You know? When a thing arises, when you see another person getting exactly what you think you want for your happiness, and then your first thought is, why them, not me? I mean, it's stupid. You want more and more and more and more people to get that thing you think is going to make you really happy. You really do, especially as a Bodhisattva. As soon as we're in this class, you're an honorary Bodhisattva. Yet the whole wisdom side of this, of compassion, this side of the teachings, Mahayana teachings, the one that focuses on making sure other beings get happy, yeah, as a cause for your Buddhahood, right? So everybody wins, yeah, requires you to really wish upon other beings goodness. So to have jealousy, which is they got what I wanted, damn it, it's so bad. So if you have it, stab it, like get rid of it, slowly. You're not going to do it just because you decided. Each of us have a heaviness to one or the other of these. I'll honestly go through the ones that I think I have a lot of.
Are we going to go through all the antidotes, or are we just kind of
Well,
saying for now, like, perceive them to
We'll get to that at the end of the class, yeah?
Okay.
Cool. Because this is a good debate. This is a really good debate, okay? I had a visual, actually I'll answer some of it now. I had a visual, I was trying to not be, because I was seeing myself getting lazy about Dharma, saying the same chants and doing the same practices and doing the same meditations. I needed to disrupt the way my mind was engaging with holy objects. So I decided I'm not writing Dharma, I'm not reading Dharma, I'm not doing it written anymore or spoken, I'm only drawing Dharma. So I had this big, it was 4 years ago, before I started teaching, I had this big, I don't know, as big as 2 of those walls or something, that's rolls of photo paper backdrop. And I just drew a brain chart of all the aspects of Dharma that I understood. Yeah? And I got to these horrible things, and whether or not you should attack them individually through antidotes. And so I pictured a little man digging to the core of his world where he would find wisdom, right? And he would remove the big boulders. Instead of having the road with the boulders analogy, I had another, getting to the core boulders analogy. You remove the boulders, put them on the side of the hole, then you get the smaller things, and then you get finer and finer because you're working through individual nyomons, yeah? But by the time you're down in the middle, all the things starts caving in and you have to remove the big boulder again because time has cycled. And if you haven't removed it at the root, you're forever dealing with the same boulders. If you don't remove them permanently, you're only removing them temporarily, which means they're coming back. But think about it, it's worth a thought. We'll get to Master Shantideva's answer at the end of class.
That's a beautiful
What number were we up to? Thank you.
6.
6. Did we do 6? No, we did not do
No.
6. Okay. So you got jealousy, right? In that, yeah? Anyone here had jealousy in their life? Yeah, good. Get rid of it. Gyu, G-Y-U, Gyu. Okay, here comes Hector's favorites. Okay, this is not just one. It's apparently I have a lot of these. Here we go. Says I. Insincerity, yeah, denial or fantasy. It's that you won't admit your shortcomings. It's typically coming out of my mouth is yeah, I know, yeah, I know. Yeah, that's the way it shows for me. You try and show me something, oh yeah, I know that. Yeah, like there's something.
What was the explanation?
You won't admit your shortcomings.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
You won't even be sincere with yourself, really, because the impulse is to show that. You understand this, David?
Yeah, you know.
Sorry.
You're awful.
I am. I love you. I'm just playing.
When did that start? I always think.
I don't know.
No, not
Because you guys
this.
are competing with your beards right now.
He's got me. It's not even a
It's
competition.
age. Yeah.
No, but like, when did we start? When did that start in humans? Like, what? You don't do that when you're 3.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
really? You know, like, when does that?
No, actually, I have seen it in kids. You know, I've seen
Yeah.
it early in kids. I mean, I don't know whether they learn it from adults in the nominal Western way of speaking at things. Rachel might be able to say. But you know, it's there. I mean, and because it's there, it's always been there. If you're in samsara with that quality, it's always there. And it just ripens at a specific time. That's the Buddhist answer. The nominal Western answer is you learned it at 3.6 years. No, you know.
I think you see it in kids more, like, in a different way than in adults. Like I always think about, like, in adults, right? Like, you know, a lot of people, like, say at work will say, okay, like, I can do that, but really they don't have the time to deal with that project or something. So you can't, right? Like, that's a common example of this, I think, where you're like, okay, I can do that. I got it.
Yeah. I got it.
You
Just
agree,
yeah.
and then all your other work, like, gets pushed back where really they don't have the time to do it, and then it just doesn't get done. But I think in kids it's different where they, like, I don't know, where you'll say like, oh, I'm shy, but really they're like not, or oh, like, I'm not bossy.
For me, I wanted to protect something. As a
Yeah.
child, I remember.
This one comes from pride, right?
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. I wanted to
But I
protect
think pride
something.
is something that you develop very young.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, because also here we tell kids like, good job, you're
Yeah,
Do
so if you're
everything
identifying
great,
with that,
yeah.
you want to protect that. So you got the flavor of this one. The particular, there's some explanations in the Tibetan, and I'm not versed in Tibetan, so I couldn't get all those in detail, but the particular flavor of this, or the way that this one functions, is it stops you from getting spiritual realizations because you can't get teachings. You can't sit in front of somebody
You know it all.
with a no, I know, and actually get something.
I know.
It's okay, go. You're doing good. Number 7. So Yoa. Yoa. And this is pretense. It's the opposite of this. It's just putting on holy airs. You're pretending you're such a good practitioner, right? Ignorantly. Okay, there's a difference for some of those people that have different vows. You're filled with this pretense. There's a story attached to this. Let's see if I can tell you more. It's like hypocrisy. You want other people to think you're all that spiritually, but you're not. Yeah, that you have all these spiritual qualities, but you don't really. And there's a story that highlights what Yowa is, and it was about this monk who, didn't keep his altar very good. It was all messy and whatever. But his sponsor was about to come to the monastery, so he figured he better fix it up and clean it up and do nice offerings so he can get more sponsor. And he remembered, he recognized in his activity that he had Yowa. He recognized that what he was doing was actually covering up something. He was pretending. And so, just as the sponsor was coming in, he grabbed a bunch of dirt and chucked it on the altar and messed it up, right? Just to get rid of Nyomon, over caring whether or not the sponsor would take care of him. And the story goes that there was a lama with clairvoyance on the other side of Tibet, of India, who saw this with his clairvoyance and was teaching. And he stopped and he said, a great thing has happened somewhere in the world today. Someone just overcame your, like it was, it was that powerful in the world of those beings that can see beyond what we can see. So you understand that one, yeah? You get that feeling? That's a nice little story behind that. Number 8, Nongsa Mepa. Say Nongsa Mepa.
Nongsa Mepa.
This means hot face or to blush, yeah? To blush. It means you're shameless. It means that when nobody is watching, you're quite happy to do a misdeed, stealing, whatever it is. It's sort of close to the previous one, yeah? But in the privacy of your own home, it's no one's watching, you're doing what you like without shame. You don't care. Shame for yourself, yeah? The opposite of this is Nongsa, instead of Nongsa Mepa, right? And Nongsa is sort of the attitude that says, that's not worthy of someone like me. That's not worthy of someone who's developing Bodhisattva ideals like I am. So I will, even though you see that $100 sitting on somebody's table or whatever it is, you choose not to carry through with the negative deed, the lying, the cheating, or whatever it is. Yeah, the misdeed is. So, is that clear? Is that okay?
Tell me again though?
The opposite,
Yeah.
You see the opportunity for a misdeed,
yeah.
and the thing arises in your mind to say, that's not for me.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you might even make sure you put the $100 safe for somebody or something like that. Yeah. And number 9, Trelme. Trelme. Yeah. This is inconsideration. Is that a word? Inconsideration, when you don't consider other people. Yeah, inconsiderate. Yes,
Yeah.
inconsiderate. Inconsideration. It means that you sort of don't care the impact of your actions on others. So you're quite happy to do, say, or think misdeeds, and obviously show it through your behavior, and you don't care the impact on others. In the scriptures, they relate it to the activity you would do to others so they don't lose faith. Okay? So you're walking around doing whatever misdeeds you know you're doing, and you don't care whether or not people that are trying to get enlightenment are watching you, and you're giving the wrong example, you don't care. Does that make sense?
Wait, what?
You,
Can you say that last part again? That other
You're not
people-
helping other people keep faith in there is a path out of samsara by knowing that you're a good Buddhist, for example. Yeah, just someone knows that you're practicing inner life.
Right.
Yeah, and then you continue. This is the mental capacity for you to purposefully do something that you know will cause somebody to question.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, or to allow yourself to continue to do this kind of behavior.
Isn't it the same as the last one, except instead of when you're by yourself? in
It's
front of others?
it's the first
We
one
had
was
that with
towards
another
you,
teacher.
yeah, and this one is focused towards
But
others.
this isn't the same as trying to overcome these afflictions while right? Like,
That would be the inverse.
right?
Yeah.
You see, you got-
Yeah, I know what you're talking. You're talking about
Right,
the karma course.
This is purposefully committing these misdeeds,
No,
knowing
or-
others are watching, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
knowing that you're
Purposeful.
somebody else's, you're a bad example for somebody else.
Okay.
Yeah,
Or like
knowing
not
that that's
caring. It's
not
like,
caring.
It's not like purposefully
Yeah,
setting
exactly.
a bad example. It's
Just
I'm
not-
gonna do this because it's me and I don't really care that other people are watching.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Inconsiderate.
Nice. Thank you, Reg. You're gonna say.
Question. What primary affliction did the last couple say?
Let's think about it. I don't know. I didn't make those correlations, but we can figure out the correlations. So shamelessness. Let's have a look. Where would that have gone?
Pride.
I would say
It's-
ignorance, no?
This is interesting. Okay, I was thinking about this when I was doing the lists, and I don't want to do the cutesy, it's all empty answer. But you would do that kind of behavior. Let's go. This is me. I'm going to do the hell I want, regardless of who's watching. You know. And someone might do that predominantly because of pride. And someone might do that predominantly because they like something ignorantly or dislike something ignorantly. And for one, it would be one thing, and for the other would be another one. What do you think it is, Rachel? Sorry, it's a roundabout answer. It's my way of answering.
Well, I was gonna say, I think it's primarily pride, but it also sounds a little bit like wrong view.
Yeah, because don't you think that, like, because
Well,
knowledge
which of
wants-
these are not wrong view?
Sure.
Right. Aren't
Yeah.
they all?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're all also everything. So
Exactly.
that's the emptiness thing.
But it also means that they are intricately connected, right? That all these things, you can't just say, isolate this thing and this is the only instance of this flavor that I've got.
Yeah,
This
because
is
there's a
the
little lazy
predominant.
doubt in there too in some
But-
of these.
Of course, right? So I wonder if there is a list where they say in specific relations to this one or that one. But my answer is it depends on
20%.
the mind. Yeah, it's 20%. It's a nice mix produced from the first six. And you had a question? No? You made
Yeah,
a funny
I
sound?
had the same question
You
as
did,
her.
okay. And you just clairvoyanced it to her.
That's what happened.
Great. Welcome, Coco.
Cool.
Number 10.
Huh.
Here's Hector's favorite. Chappa. Say chappa.
Chappa.
C-H-A-P-P-A, right? Chappa. And this is covering up, right? Hiding your faults. Yeah, I don't do that. I tried to do your joke, but a little bit better. No, it wasn't so good, right? This is particularly important in the benign, okay? When you have faults, whatever they are, you're supposed to, if you're in a community, to get rid of them before they have the power to grow karmically through confession, right? If you have Bodhisattva vows, some of those you confess them to a group of 2 or more people if you did the Bodhisattva vows, and the secondary offenses for the secondary offenses. And for the primary offenses of a Bodhisattva, does anybody remember?
The person who gave you the vows?
You have to take them again if you break the primary vow. Yeah. So anyway, so in the Vinaya, you're supposed to, as soon as you have some transgression, you're supposed to share them with your community, clean them up before they have the, not because it's the right thing to do and the Buddha said so and he's your boss. It's not that. It's because these disgusting things are growing and creating your revolting world, the world that breaks down, and you don't want them in your skin. You don't want them in your consciousness. So you push them out, you do the anti-natural thing, which is go to someone you revere and respect and go, hey, I don't know, whatever the negative thing was you did. Yeah? I just was angry at the lady on the phone, even though it wasn't her fault. Yeah? And I felt this anger and frustration. I said 2 snide comments to her, but I really was thinking, what a stupid, shame on me, because I should be figuring out how to relate better to humans.
So you have to.
Every 2 weeks.
Okay, every 2 weeks. So I was gonna say.
Specifically,
like,
look, what they do is they read a text and so on, but specifically, you should get that's why you keep the little book.
Right.
Yeah, because then you can see which ones you're doing every 2 hours, and before they have 2 hours to grow, destroy them. If you're like me and you grew up in Australia, right, which is ahead of time, whenever you did them over there, you could ring the United States and it would be yesterday, so they had negative half a day to grow before you confess them to your teacher or your friends, right, which is awesome. So if you've got friends in LA, you could ring them up and go, hey, you know what I did today? It was completely stupid.
You guys can call me.
Yeah, soon. You should charge for time travel.
Cool, now you're gonna talk.
Ghostbusters.
Over here, I'm gonna like paint another 3 hours in my
Or Hawaii or something, I don't know.
Why?
Hawaii.
I don't understand that. I'm
Because they're
sorry,
3 hours
the camping
behind.
part.
So if you're doing a banding today at 7 p.m.,
Yeah,
it's 4 p.m. in LA.
the time is still
think
time.
that's a
No, I'm
secondary
being
question.
silly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's in the scripture.
But why does it? But I don't understand why it actually grows. Like why does it grow? If it's just your mind observing the deed that you did, why does it? Why does it grow?
Why does it grow? Good question.
The movement of it creates time.
See, it's
Karma
grow.
expands.
The negative imprint in your mind, any karma, your mind rolls it into another moment, and it expands. Karma, the 4 rules of karma are
Like produces.
like produces like, it grows exponentially, like 2,
If you
4.
didn't commit the cause, you can't get the
You
result.
didn't do it, you're not getting the result.
And if you did it,
If you're getting a result, it
You
means
did
you
it.
did it. Yeah.
But isn't that based? I don't want to get into the whole diatribe because I know you got to plow through. But isn't that based less on TikTok and more on movements of mind, the measurement of movements of mind, and not on the actual like in an hour? This
Are you not having an experience of an hour with me?
I am, but an hour with you
I'm
is
having
different than an
experience of
hour marching on the subway
Yeah.
or sitting on my
So,
toilet or whatever.
do you have a feeling of a day with me?
Sometimes.
You do? Like when the sun rises and drops?
Oh.
Most of the time? Yeah?
Yeah.
It's just movement of mind. Yeah, they're relative. All of them are relative,
Mm.
of course. Will your karma, is it exactly doubling each day?
I see.
Yeah?
Yes.
The Buddha
Well,
said
wait,
so.
if
Do
you're
you
from
know
Au-
that? I don't
If you're
know.
from Australia, you technically haven't been here.
I haven't been- no, sometimes, just as an aside, sometimes when you fly out of Australia at 7 in the morning,
You
you
arrived last
arrive
Tuesday.
here
Here at
the same day, 2 hours earlier or 3 hours earlier. So you arrived 2 hours before you left, and it's awesome. Yeah. You're like, I haven't left yet. Bum, I'm here. Yeah. It's so good. When you go back, it's terrible. You age 2 days.
Payback.
I didn't do anything.
Payback.
That was just a joke.
It's so funny.
Coco thinks it's funny.
Oh. So here's that one, Chakpat, hiding your faults. Yeah? This is, you know the story of Lord Atisha, right? He carried a stupa with him to which a representation of an enlightened Bodhisattva mind, right? To which he, whenever he had a nyamon, a klesha, he had a negative thought, he would stop his entourage. He was a big teacher. He had lots of people following him with horses and whatever. He would stop the horse. He would get off the horse. He would put down the stupa. He would do prostrations, and he would do his confession before they had a millisecond to grow. Right? It took a long time to travel with Lord Atisha anywhere.
So they did the whole 4 powers or just
Yeah,
confession?
I don't know exactly. Yeah, I just know that that's what he did. That he cleaned it before it got heavy.
What about the clash of delaying everybody?
Well, unless he was seeing it as a teaching to help everybody purify, and then it's a worthwhile investment of time. I don't know how he was seeing
And a
it.
great example for the others too.
But the bottom line is, if it's good enough for Master Atisha, it's probably healthy for us, right? To stop and confess and clean, because you do have a feeling of getting cleaned if you do it properly with someone you revere. The other goodness about doing that, admitting your faults to someone, is you can only really admit the same fault 3 or 4 times to the same person before you actually have to fix it. If you don't do it, it keeps growing.
Can you do it on Twitter?
You can do it on Twitter. No, and believe me,
That's a really good idea.
my posts
You're really good.
on Facebook and my conversations with people are filled with, because I've got a bunch of pride, and what was the other one that wants to hide their faults? That one, and I want to, so I code all my messages with things like that, so at least I know I'm doing it. Anyway, that's my own little thing. But the bottom line is, people know your stuff. Like, people know people.
Yeah.
You know people know. You hiding it doesn't mean I don't know. Yeah, me hiding it doesn't mean you don't know. The thing I dislike the most is when I see my closest, dearest friends who love me unconditionally, they call me on my crap and it's okay. They're like, you know, if you got over that, that would really help you. And I cringe because they know my big secret. They've known me all my life. People know you, and you know people. It's a glance of the eye. It's a movement of the choosing of words. We know each other. We're humans. Stop it, David. He's doing shifty eyes. So the bottom is all the invested energy to cover up all the energy that we invest in this nice little cycle to keep this horrible thing going, right? You can just spend a small fraction of that and just fix it. It takes some effort because you've got to get off trajectory, right? It's easy to roll with the roll. You put a little bit extra effort and then that whole wheel can come off. You don't need that anymore. So think of Master Atisha, get a stupa, stop the train.
Wait,
Anyway.
when you say stupid, do you mean like the huge thing?
No, you have a small
like even just
stupa.
Like a little one?
Yeah.
Oh, because I was thinking
No, he
that
didn't
they were
grab
all
the whole
carrying,
stupa.
Like, and like statues. Wow.
He'd build one every time.
Yeah, he built a stupa and then. Okay, we'll do a few more and then we'll take a quick break. Okay, here we go. Number, what were we? 10. That was 10.
11.
Number 11, Serna. Say Serna.
Serna.
This is easy. This is being stingy or cheap. Bottom line, you don't have the willingness to give to others. You want to keep things for you. Yeah? So you just, I think, who was it? I think it was the Pope gave a speech in the 90s and it was the talk of our community for a while. He was telling people about giving, not the current Pope or the one before that. And he was saying, don't give people your extra. Don't give people your spares. Don't give people your stuff you don't want. If you really want to generate the act of giving, which is you wish upon another person to have something that they love, you give what you love. And you develop that skill. You're going to get rid of it anyway. Yeah? Or when you're gone, it's just going to be sitting somewhere. Use it for some goodness. So, stinginess is not having that. Number 12.
If you're imbuing your mind, even if it's something you don't want, and you find a way to make it special, or you
That's
imbue it
good.
with something,
No,
is that?
I'm not saying don't give, and
Right.
I'm saying don't only give your stuff you don't want.
Right.
Yeah. Of course, you've got stuff. What, you're going to chuck it in the bin, or you're going to make use of it? Make use of it. It's healthy. Yeah, that's a goodness.
Yeah.
I'm not making you feel bad about that. I'm not making you feel bad about any of these things. I'm trying to get real about we have these things in our mind. Don't pretend you don't. If you do, and you keep them there, you're going to continue having the same love that we're all having. Yeah. If you have a genuine desire to break free of the cycles, if you don't want to see the sufferings the way you see them, do something. Put some effort. All of these require initial effort. And then the momentum of that effort is self-sustaining, like the momentum of the stupidity was self-sustaining. Yeah? You can keep a good habit as much as you can keep a bad habit. Number 12. Gyakpa
Get
means fat. That's what you call a fat person in Tibet, but it means puffed up. Like, you're puffed up. It means conceited. Yeah, it means you're focusing on your temporary good qualities. You know, like, I've got such good hair, and my beard is so awesome. Or I speak so many languages. Or I'm so spiritual. It's your temporary good qualities. Yeah, you'll get all puffed up about it, and that will come from pride. Number 13, Madepa. Madepa. This is lack of faith or reverence towards those that deserve it. So, for example, it's a negative state of mind. It's a secondary negative state of mind. It's not recognizing the, ready, Paul? Awesomeness of beings around you. It's like thinking His Holiness the Dalai Lama is just a guy, he's just a nice guy. That's cool. Right? You don't recognize the incredible capacity of that being to completely shift the way the entire world has considered peace in a place of war, to completely change the way thousands of beings have conceived of happiness and contentment and compassion. It's to really not having lack of faith means that not considering Geshe Michael as just another guy who's just not being the first person to completely translate the entire 18 courses from 20 years degrees in a Tibetan monastery into English language, so the sounds and the nuances of the meaning arrive to your very life and every single life that's ever touched it. It's like being lazy about that. It's what that is.
Could it be a failure to like conjure those types of beings? Because none of these beings are this of their own.
Yeah, it is a failure to conjure up what you experience. Yeah, you could see. For all of this from now on, you'll see, they require muscle building. Yeah, of a positive nature to remove the negative one. So this one, I like the way you said it, it's not conjure up the goodness. You don't have to have 2 brain cells to think how incredible it is to have these ideas in the world. Yeah? But then we all get used to people around us and we treat them normal after a while. This is like spiritual admiration laziness. Spiritual admiration laziness. Not admiring the amazing qualities, like thinking Mother Teresa, she just helps some lepers, you know? Not thinking over and over and over what an incredible impact it's had for the positivity of this world to reach a higher level of existence. Yeah? So to not have that habit in your mind is to have this thing. Do you mind if I do one more page quickly and then we have a quick break? Is that okay? Here we go, don't ask questions. Lelo, you've heard that before. Laziness, cool. Spiritual laziness, defined as lack of joy in doing goodness. It also, so it means that whenever you're doing some good activity, the highest form of Lelo here in this list is you've just done some awesome thing. You came to a Buddhist class to try and figure out, hopefully, I don't know why you're here, but I'm guessing, is to try and develop a state of mind that can break you free from some cyclic suffering so you don't have to be a schmuck, and then figure out how to help other people do the same that are suffering from similar conditions of existence. Not feeling good, not patting yourself in the back in a good way, going, my God, that's a really awesome thing to do with a human life. It's this kind of Lelo. It's the highest form of this Lelo. Not when you just spent some time, dedicated some good of your life towards helping another, and then you went home and go, oh, that was okay, but I could have done, you know, just wasting that goodness, not conjuring up the goodness that was associated, right? That's Lelo. Also, lazing around the house, watching TV and doing nothing is also classified Lelo here, okay? Bak Mepa, say Bak Mepa, number 15.
Bak Mepa?
Bak Mepa, B-A-K, Mepa, which means always the negative, yeah? Carelessness, meaning not being careful with your spiritual life, not having an alertness around keeping your spiritual life as if it was a seedling, really pure and really good. A couple of beers is really good for Bak Mepa, yeah? Because then your inhibitions drop and then you're like, what about the party? Yeah. Number 16, Jnepa. Jene. So it's Jenge, Nep. This is, you've had this in the meditation course, Jene.
Can you spell it again?
Yeah, Jenge.
Okay.
You've had this in the meditation course. Anyone remember? No? Forgetfulness. That's my joke. This is losing the object in meditation, right? In meditation. But it here is, let's say you were doing the 4 forces. So let's say you did a meditation in the morning and say, okay, today I'm not yelling at my boss. Doesn't matter what they say, I will not yell at my boss. And then you just get there and you go back into yelling. It's that. Or saying, okay, I'm not going to ignore the first beggar I see on the street. I've got $10 in my pocket, I'm going to give it to the first person. Yeah, once a day, I put that money in there. You decide you're going to do that, and then you just don't do it. Yeah, it's that. Yeah? Forgetfulness. Number 17. Sheshin Manyepa. So Sheshin is Shin, Manyepa, Mayinpa. And it's losing watchfulness. Remember, Sheshin is watchfulness from meditation also, of course. So in meditation, this is the alarm bell, right? The watcher of your meditation, Sheshin. This is where you don't have any red flags going off as you're walking around your day doing misdeeds, lying to people, watching it. You don't have the watchful state of mind ready to catch lying, cheating, stealing, sexual misconduct, and all the other things you've committed to not do. Does that make sense? Not having that.
Can you say it again?
Not having the watchfulness, the alarm go off. No red flags are going off while you're doing misdeeds, in other words. Number 18. 2 more, and then you have break. Say mukpa.
Mukpa.
This is dullness. Also in meditation, mukpa. Here it refers to
Dullness?
yeah, where your fogginess is another translation for mukpa. This is where you eat too much, or like you put yourself in a state where you are not alert enough, you know? So you either ate too much before meditation, or you went out all night and you couldn't do meditation in the morning. You set yourself up for a foggy state of mind. Yeah? Number 19, nam yen, Y-E-N-G. Distraction. This particularly means, it's also in meditation, it particularly means distracted to pleasant objects, either because you're ignorantly liking them. Yeah, obviously because you're ignorantly liking them. Yeah. So it could even be a pleasant object like your teacher or a good virtue that you're going to do. If you've placed your mind on an idea that, okay, for this meditation I'm going to meditate on emptiness, and then you go and drift off to, I'm going to do 108 lives and I'm going to work at 3 joules, and this is considered a mental affliction, even though it could be focused on a positive thing. It's distracting you from developing the positive thing that you had originally decided to, and therefore it's a distraction. Yeah?
I
It's
don't
a
understand that.
why don't you understand?
So if you're distracted by the pleasant object of your meditation?
That's not of your meditation. You see, you decided to meditate on emptiness, or let's say you decided to meditate on your Lama, only your Lama. So you have your visualization of your Lama, you're single pointed on your Lama, and then you think, the Lama, my Lama taught me all these beautiful things. You're still on the Lama, right? Oh, my Lama showed me all these things. My Lama also taught me how to give. Oh, I was giving last week. Oh, that's right, the guy that I was giving last week was living around the corner. I wonder where he went. He wasn't around the corner yesterday. Where is that corner? There's that shop in that corner. Yeah, and you're thinking about giving to that guy, but you're no longer on the object that you decided. Yeah, even though it's a pleasant thing, you're thinking about giving to this guy. You've gone from your object.
I thought you were saying that the pleasant object of your meditation was.
No.
Okay. I was like,
And number 20, gupa, scattering. We do this now. Gupa, G-U-P-A, scattering. This is going off on a tangent. So the process of what I just described rather than the object of what I just described. You're on something and you're off on a tangent. Yeah?
So it's the process of getting
Of getting lost to another thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be to a pleasurable
the
object.
process of getting off to
Tangent,
the tangent?
just off
Okay.
tangent, yeah? As opposed to the previous one was saying, even a pleasant object that you go to, if it's not what you decided to go, it's a mental affliction. What else do I say? Number 20. We develop number 19 and number 20 a lot with these devices. Yeah, we habituate them because we're forever scattered. We're learning how to be scattered, jumping from one thing to another. Yeah, initially when you're training your mind, it's hard to train. You sit on something and you stick to it. It might be boring, it might be not what everyone else is doing, but if you want freedom, you need to do it. Eventually, so even if it's virtuous, even if you've got 10,000, even if you've got 3 projects, 108 lives, a travel to Nepal, this and that, it doesn't matter. If it's not the point of what you're developing, it's an affliction. Yeah. Eventually, you get better at it, and you can do 2 or 3 things simultaneously, and that's why Avalokiteshvara has 1,000 arms. It's showing that eventually a bodhisattva can reach everybody, can reach 1,000 arms, can do 1,000 activities without having these 2 states of mind. Okay, and I think that's so as you progress, you'll be able to become like that bodhisattva. Yeah, Avalokiteshvara. Let's have a 5-minute break. Sorry, it's short. Get some food, and then we'll